Hey everyone, welcome to the inaugural episode of Network Desk. So, Network Desk is a new show that we're launching at Lightyear where we will break down the most timely events in enterprise networking, things like carrier moves, M&A, market shifts, things that overall just affect your life and work as a wide area networking operator in plain terms. My name is Dennis Dungachin, CEO and co-founder at Lightyear, and we have with us Lee Pallett, our head of solutions engineering. So let's get into it because we do have a spicy bit of news hot off the presses in that Lumen is exiting the voice business altogether, and this is something that we read about and are also dealing with in the context of many of our customers. So, um, Lee, would you mind just quickly taking us through Lumen exiting voice? Are any voice services going to be remaining within the Lumen portfolio, and any timeline that is associated with the exit?
Yeah, it looks like effective August 1st, Lumen will cease selling new services in the voice space. This includes their modernized solutions like Voice Complete, their integrations and connections with Microsoft Teams, WebEx, and Zoom, as well as their UCaaS offerings and their more traditional solutions like SIP trunks, POTS lines, PRI. Looks like all of that is exiting, and customers will need to find alternative solutions, really with an eye toward not just this August 1st date, but when does your current contract with Lumen for those voice services terminate? Lumen will continue supporting existing contracts until their termination, but will not be renewing any existing services.
Got it. So no matter where you're at in the contract, this is at least something you got to be thinking about, even if you just signed a fresh contract with Lumen. And before we get into what enterprises should do in this instance, um, maybe it's worth speculating a little bit on why they're doing this. Two things come to mind. One that they're highlighting in their external communications. Lumen has been constantly talking about uh, becoming an enterprise strategic infrastructure provider, and sort of being the AI infrastructure provider, exiting legacy voice, which makes up the majority of their voice portfolio, seems to align their portfolio more with these strategic infrastructure services. So perhaps that's a component of it. But they also went through a recent financial restructuring. And I would guess that's also a component of it, as a lot of the legacy voice services are just declining in revenue and costly to maintain. So I'm sure the unit economics on that portfolio of services isn't favorable. So maybe the combination of those two variables might be why they're opting to exit. Anything you'd add to that, Lee?
Yeah, I would say, look, Lumen's CEO comes from Microsoft. There's been a definite, refocus of the company on more transformative, modernized approaches to delivering network connectivity. And this includes sort of cloudifying an approach to network. I think we see the recent acquisition of Alkira, a network as a service leader in cloud and data center to data center connectivity, as a sort of bellwether and evidence of this, continued evidence of this push by Lumen into this modern digital space where they're looking to be sort of the AI connectivity provider of choice, and bringing a cloud-based approach to delivering network connectivity via their NaaS offering. So I think that's really what we're seeing, is the 100% focus of Lumen today, which means that other services might be taking a back seat or might be discontinued, like we see with voice. I would also just say that, to your point, um, uh, traditional voice services are being highly commoditized. We're seeing a general exit of traditional POTS lines, but also, uh, you know, SIP, SIP trunking, really super a commodity service. And then, the real value in the software side has really been taken over by Microsoft Teams, Zoom, Google, a few others. And so what's left is a pretty low margin business.
Yeah, the AI infrastructure play and network as a service certainly sounds like a much more exciting equity story than providing legacy voice. So I can understand the motivation there. So now let's talk about what the enterprise implications are. Um, we're seeing this across a lot of our customers, given the enterprises that we work with. If you're a large enough enterprise, Lumen is probably touching your network in some way, shape, or form almost indefinitely. Um, what do you think is the timeline for an enterprise taking action here? And if you're an enterprise operating with legacy voice infrastructure, do you think that today you should be looking to make a change of vendors as a stopgap or get off of legacy infrastructure altogether, given maybe all carriers go in this direction? How would you think about that, Lee?
Yeah, so I'd say, look, Lumen is one of the largest voice service providers in the United States. So many companies, from the largest enterprises to SMB, have Lumen voice services. So really, number one is determine when your current contract for Lumen voice services is set to expire. That's really the date that you need to identify to determine when you really have to have a solid plan, not just in place but executed, to transition away from Lumen voice. Um, and really, the time to start is now. So as we think about potential pathways for the larger, more enterprise customers who may be reliant on traditional voice systems that have premise-based hardware and software in support of the services being supplied by Lumen, um, depending on the level of integration of those premise-based solutions and whether it's just SBCs, session border controllers, or whether it's also uh, the voice and contact center platform software platforms as well. We see a few different potential pathways. One is either to immediately begin migrating not just to a new voice provider, but also to a provider that can really help cloudify your entire voice solution, just as Lumen is looking to cloudify the network. And and then the other piece is that if you do have these deeper reliance on hardware and software that is premise based, what we might do is help identify a service provider that can do a like for like replacement of Lumen's services so that you're not in danger of losing that voice connectivity. But then also laying the groundwork for a pathway to moving into a full cloud based delivery of the voice solution.
Makes a ton of sense. And this is exactly the type of thing that we're managing on behalf of our customers today. So just to close out here, there's a lot more that we could express on this topic, but thank you for watching this episode of Network Desk. And if you are dealing with issues as it relates to Lumen voice infrastructure and are looking for either a second opinion or just some help on strategy, this is what we're helping our customer base with today. So please don't hesitate to reach out. Go to lightyear.ai and request a meeting. Thank you.
Thanks.